I'm going to bring up our guests, who are the screenwriter and co-producer, I believe, Anne Rosellini. And we also have with us the film's editor, Affonso Goncalves. The determination and the essential caring nature of the lead character Ria is just in every frame and in every part of Jennifer Lawrence's performance. So I was wondering, was this idea of depicting goodness something that was part of the process of choosing this story, and also how Jennifer Lawrence came to be involved in the picture?
We did a long casting process, and Jennifer Lawrence was just it. She grew up in Kentucky. She is sort of a tom girl. She's, homeschooled and sort of made her own way, very creative, and we just sort of knew. She doesn't have a high, squeaky little girl voice. We were just like, that's her, So, and then of course, what she imparted to the role.
Now, we were discussing when you first got here about shooting in the Ozarks, how it's pretty rare for films to be set in this particular area. Usually if it's mountain country in America, it's the Adirondacks. And B, gaining the trust of the actual the locals of the Ozarks in Missouri in order to shoot there. You said it was something like a 2-year process.
Yeah, well, I mean, so we went down to Missouri to meet Daniel Woodrell, who is from West Plains, which is a small town in the southwestern part of Missouri. And it was, we wanted to see the inspirations for the book, but it was so far away from any kind of production hub that we knew that there was no way that we could, make the film there. So we headed back up to Springfield and found a guide just through random meetings. We found someone who lived about 45 minutes out of Springfield in, the Ozarks, the hills of the Ozarks. And I was telling Glenn that, like, going from Springfield 45 minutes into Forsyth, where we largely shot the film, it's like going into another country. It's so different. And it took about 2 years of going down there to really gain the trust of the folks living there.
Incidentally, Daniel Woodrell is one of the is a really major regional novelist. His book To Live On was adapted by James Seamus and Ang Lee for the film Ride with the Devil, and it's another set in Missouri story, obviously a historical one, the late Civil War. But yeah, he knows that area to the bone, as it were. One interesting, among the many interesting things about this movie, it's got an incredibly engaging, mystery story, and it also, what you convey is kind of the root causes of things such as meth labs in middle America, without being preachy or dogmatic about it. You see these people who once had a way of life that is now crumbling, and this is what they turn to. And I'm wondering if this is part of what compelled you to take on the subject matter.
The more that we went down there and saw the reality of the economic reality, what the options available, it really is like, you can work at Walmart, or you can join the Army, or you can run your own business, basically, selling drugs. And there's a long history of this kind of underground economy in the Ozarks, and they, from moonshine to marijuana, and sadly to meth.
I want to ask Alfonso a little bit about the process. In some cases, when the film is being shot, the editor will be at a remote location looking at footage there. And how does it work in your relationship with Granick and the film? Or do you go out? Sometimes the editor will go out to the location and be working there. So how did it work in this case for you?
In this case, I was actually here in New York, and I was hired from the very beginning. Well, when they went to Missouri, I would stay, and I would get footage every day. And we talk on the phone, and we always, as much as I could, I cut scenes and gave Deborah feedback. So pretty much that was the process. And then when they finished, they came back, and then we cut it for about 6 months together.
He would send us SOSs and be like, you need to get this, you need to get that. You don't have, that's the beauty of having someone outside of the project who can see maybe what we're missing.
I just wanted to also ask you about the group at the party. Were they local musicians or?
Yeah, part of the research was, I don't know if anyone is from the South or from Missouri, but there's obviously a strong, I mean, the Ozarks are like the Appalachians, a Scotch-Irish ancestry, and there's a very strong tradition of music in the Ozarks as in the Appalachian Mountains. And when we started going down there, the very first thing that we did was Daniel Woodrell took us to what they call a pickin' session. And, there are, these are traditional instruments that have been passed, the music making is very much a part of the culture down there. And so, people would do their daily lives, they'd go do their day job, and then, as a joy, a pure joy, meet with musician friends, once a week or something, and they call it a pickin' session, and they just jam, basically, for their own pure enjoyment.